Everyone, welcome to Kailul Kol Shira and Breslov.org. Now, today we're going to see this beautiful idea. There's a Mishkan Tasa. So, bring in a Mishkan Ayadei Tfilas. So before we were learning about the idea of the Mishkan being built by Melacha, but now we're going to learn a new concept that the Mishkan was actually built via Tfilah. Wow, interesting idea. Tzarech Adam lahar beis b'tfilah me'oid me'oid kol yemei chayav. It's upon us to daven to the Rabbeinu Shalom and to beg the Rabbeinu Shalom all our lives. And if a person sees I'm davening for a long time, a person can be davening for a long time, sometimes for a family member, can davening sometimes for a shidduch, can be davening sometimes for parnasa, for who knows what, for a health issue, and they don't see any Yeshua. They're davening a long time, and they don't see that the tefillah is being answered. So some people, they say, listen, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't want to hear what I'm asking for. Chas v'sholom, that should be the case. So, but he says like this, and not only that, the guy's davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he wants to get closer to Hashem. He wants to be closer. This is the last week of Shavivim. Right, we ending off Shavim this year. Normally we end off Shavim, the Tekufa with Parshas Mishpatim, but since it's a leap year, so that's why we have Truma Tetzava. Right, we have these two parshas that are added in. It's called Shavim Tat. Okay, because of Truma and Tetzava. So a person's davening to the Rabbeinu Shalom that he wants to have a little more Yirah Shamayim. He wants to be a little more pure. He wants to be more careful what he sees. He wants to be more careful what he's involved in, and so on. If a person's davening to the Rabbeinu Shalom, this is the right time for that. Okay. And now he sees he's davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but the taivas, his desires, and the bilbulim and the confusion. Not only is he davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he doesn't see Hashem is answering him, Adarabah, he sees that the situation is getting worse. He's davening to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he sees he has more desire, more confusion in his mind. He's davening, he wants to have a little more Yishuv Adas. Now he has more bilbul in his mind. He has more confusion in his mind. He wants to have a little more, everything should go smooth, but now he has confusion. Okay? Never ever think that your tefillah, that you daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is for naught, is for nothing. Chas v'sholom, chas v'sholom. Rak yeda v'yamin. We have to know and we have to believe. She'ein shum diba nevad li'olam. No word that we ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for, and we ask in an honest way. As we say in the Ashrei, right? We say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to those people that are honest, those people that are trying, those people that are talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu sincerely. HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to them. Never chas v'sholom believe that any word is ever lost. V'chol tefillah v'sicha beinei levein koinei oiseh roisha. Every single word that a person davens, that a person speaks when he's having his baidus, he's talking to the Rabbeinu Shalom privately, he's having a conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We should never ever think that doesn't do anything. Adarabah, the Rebbe says, it makes a big roishim. It makes a big impression. It makes a big roishim. V'tzadikei emes melaktim. And the great tzaddikim, they are gathering. Kol elu atfilos vasichos ubaynim mayem binyanim niflayim. So the great tzaddikim, right? So when we're connected to the Rosh Yeshiva, when we're connected to the tzaddikim, when we're connected to them, so they take these tefillas and they build beautiful edifices, beautiful buildings from the tefillas. Very, very beautiful tefillas. And that's what we say, for those of you that daven Sfard, so we say on Shabbos, Keser yitnu lecha malachim amayni mala imam chiyasol kavud say mata, right? So what do we say when we say Keser? We're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu the crown. Where's the crown coming from? The crown's coming from all the words of the tefillah. There's a malach in Shemayim. I'm not going to mention his name, okay? But there's a malach in Shemayim, and his job is to take the words of our tefillah and to tie crowns to make a beautiful crown to the Rebbeinu Shalom. So by Musa was saying, we're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu a crown. We're giving HaKadosh Baruch Hu from what? From our tefillahs. So how could we ever think, Chas v'Sholom, that when I'm davening, my tefillah isn't working? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a beautiful crown for my words. It's all upon us to strengthen ourselves, to constantly daven and constantly talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. No matter however it is. Until it'll be that you'll utter that one word to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that one special word, that it's going to be the final makkah v'patish. It'll be that final blow that'll be finishing that binyan. V'oz yikamru rachamav v'yizbarach v'yikari v'yisei b'shleimus v'yoshev el HaShem yirachameyu. And then it'll come close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'shleimus, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will answer us with His compassion. Achaf al pichein sheyeh lo'yeze Yeshua. Okay, even if there'll be a certain salvation, a certain thing, al yita shal yedei tfilosav masav atayvim, Paul says, don't ever think, because you see a Yeshua in your life, don't ever think that you see this Yeshua, you see this salvation in your life because you daven for it. But wait a second, we just said a moment ago that every time you daven, it makes an impression. But that's true. But don't think that you got this thing happened to you in your life. The person, he finally got a deal that he was waiting for. The person finally got a Yeshua. He found the shit that the person finally had children. The person, whatever the Yeshua, the person was like, he got it. So you shouldn't think because I davened so much, that's why I was able to get it. A person should never think that I was the one to cause it. It's all Me'ez HaShem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it for us. Look what the Rebbe says. Al yita ashal yedei tfilas masim tovim Paul says rak yeda. But rather you should know. Shakol rak b'chazdei yizbarach. It's all with the chesed of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that we're trying so hard. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that we're working so hard and we're trying to get close to Him. So because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has compassion on us. But don't think because you daven and your words that were so powerful and you caused this thing. No, it's because you put the effort in. And this is what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants us to put in effort. HaKadosh Baruch Hu only wants our effort. He doesn't care what we actually do. It's all about the effort that we put in. And then I heard this story. It's a remarkable story. And it happened here in Eretz Yisrael, and it's an amazing story to help understand this, perhaps. Okay, so listen to this story, everybody. It'll take about 2-3 minutes. Here we go. So there was a couple. There was a couple that lived in Eretz Yisrael, and this couple were married for over 9 years, and they didn't have any children. Over 9 years and no children. And they were davening to the Rebbeinu Shalom that they wanted children. And they went to the doctor. The husband and the wife went to the gynecologist. And the gynecologist sat them down. And they figured, what are they going to tell us now? They heard the bad news all the time. So the gynecologist tells them, I want to tell you something that you're going to get a mazel tov. You're going to have a baby. Wow, they were so happy. And he says, I want to give you a mazel tov. You're going to have a baby. So they said, okay. And I want to give you a mazel tov. You're going to have another baby. You're going to have a baby. And a mazel tov, and a mazel tov. He gives them 5 mazel tovs. So they asked him, the doctor, why did you give us the 5? Because you're going to have 5 babies. Quintuple, you're going to have 5 babies. The lady almost plots. He had no family at all. Now she's carrying 5 babies, a made family all in one. One pregnancy, 5 babies. Wow, a family. So the doctor said to her, you should know that it's going to be very difficult. Don't think this is going to be easy. You're going to have to stay in bed. You're going to have to relax. You're going to have to rest. You're going to have to be very, very careful if you want to carry out these pregnancies to the full term. You're going to have to be very, very careful. Okay? So the wife, her parents already passed away. But his parents, they were from America, and they came to Eretz Yisrael, they came to help out. And Baruch Hashem, she gave birth to the 5 healthy children. Amazing. 5 healthy children. Amazing. So you can imagine how Lebedik that was in the house, right? You can imagine, you come home, they didn't have any babies, now they have 5 babies. So his parents were there and they were helping. And could you imagine what it costs, right? You need to buy diapers for 5 and formula for 5 and clothing for 5. Wow, it's a tremendous thing. And the community was helping, but okay, everyone did what they can do. But they get a call, a lady calls up, and the lady calls up and she says, "Can you use any help?" And she says, "Sure, I can use help." "Okay, I'll send you some help." All right. So about 2 weeks later, they get a check in the mail. It's for $15,000. Wow. They couldn't believe it. They got a check for $15,000. Okay. They deposited the check, and they were so happy they were able to buy all the things they needed for the babies, right? Everything was okay now. So what happened? About another week later, the lady calls, this lady that called up and says, "Did you receive the check?" "Oh, yeah. We received the check. I'm so sorry. We were so busy. With the kids, and I forgot to call you." She says, "Oh, it's okay. I understand. I just wanted to make sure you got the check." She says, "Okay." She said, "And by the way," the mother asked the lady, would you like to come over and see the babies?" So she says, "Yes, I would like to." She didn't live too far from there. So the lady came over. The lady came over to the house. Oh, and she picked up each baby and she gave each baby a hug and a kiss. Oh, it was so special, so special. And the mother asked the lady, "Can I offer you something, maybe a tea? Can I offer you something to drink?" She said, sure. So they went into the kitchen, they made a tea, and they went to the dining room to sit down to drink that tea. And the lady sees a picture on the wall. And she asked, "Who is this?" And the next thing you know, she fainted. The philanthropist, this lady, the lady that gave the money, she fainted. Oh, they called the Hatzalah. Okay, everything. She came around, and then they asked. So the mother asked this lady, "What happened?" She said, I have to tell you about this lady. I have to tell you what happened about this lady. I can't believe it." She said, "This is what happened. It was us, 5 of us. We were in Mauthausen, in the concentration camp. And it was a few weeks before Hanukkah. And then one of us decided, it's Hanukkah coming up. Maybe we'll be able to light the Hanukkah candles." So she said to her friend, "Maybe we can." "Oh yeah," she said, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, we'll go to the corner market and we'll buy we'll buy a Chanukiah and we'll buy some. We're in Mauthausen. We'll light a candle. What are you lost your mind?" She said, "No." She said, "No. Sometimes we get a potato. So instead of eating the potato, I'll hold on to my potato. And then I can cut up the potato and I can make little holes in it and I can use that as the Chanukiah." Okay. And then where are we going to get oil? But oil, she said, "Well, sometimes they give us butter. Sometimes they give us a little butter in the morning. So I won't eat my butter and I'll keep the butter. and I'll use that butter, the butter, as a oil to light the. Okay, and where are you going to get wicks from? Wicks? Well, you see these rags that we're wearing. I'll pull a string out of there. I'll twist it and I'll make a wick. That's no problem. All right, fine. If that's what you want, okay. All right, we'll try to get some. We'll try to collect some potatoes and we'll try to get some butter. We'll try it. Okay, fine. Well, to make a long story short, it didn't work out. It didn't work out the way they thought it was going to work out. It didn't work out that way. But what happened? It was right before Hanukkah. And they didn't get any butter. They didn't have anything. So one of them has an idea. Hey, why don't we do this? Let's break into the kitchen. We'll break into the kitchen. We'll find some oil or something, and then we'll come back to the bunk and we'll light the menorah. And okay, all right, she convinced them. They all went. They broke into the kitchen. They were successful. They found the oil, and as they were walking out of the kitchen, they met the Nazi. Oh, he gave them a beating. And he said, tomorrow morning, back to your bunk. Tomorrow morning, we're going to deal with this. So they already knew what that meant. They knew in the morning they're going to take them out. They're going to hang them. HaShem Yishmerenu. But they went, okay, and they found their oil. So at least they lit the menorah, and they did what they could. And they sang the Hanei Rois Halolo. They did what they could. They figured, okay, listen, at least if we're going to at least do them, let's do a mitzvah. Let's do a mitzvah. Okay. So they did that, and the morning came. They called these five. They called them to the gallows. But listen, something else happened. That night, they remembered that there was one lady, there was one Jewish lady that had very special privileges in Mauthausen. And maybe she can help us get out of trouble. So they snuck out of that bunkhouse again, and they went to this lady, and they told her the predicament. She says, get out of here. They're going to kill me and you if they see us together here. What are you doing? They're going to kill us. This lady was sitting in line. She had her own little Chanukiah. She had her own little candle burning. And she was saying some Tehillim. But she said, please get out of here. And it came the morning. And the Nazis called them, and they set up the gallows, and they called everyone out to watch, as they did, and they put them up. And meanwhile, this lady came running to the commandant, to the commander, and she started telling him something. And the next thing they knew, the commandant said, "Everyone back to your bunkhouses now. Get back to the bunkhouses right now." They all ran back to the bunkhouses. And after the Americans came to free them. It was at the end of the war. The Americans surrounded Mauthausen. They freed them. So these five girls went to this lady, and she said, "What did you tell him? What did you tell the commander that he spared us?" She said, "I said like this." She said, the reason why he kept me alive was because he never believed what they were telling him. He didn't believe what they were telling him in Berlin that was coming in on the telegrams. He didn't believe what they were telling them. And I was able to, I speak many different languages, and I had a radio, and I would listen to the radio what was going on. And he didn't understand too many languages, the commandant. He only knew German. So he would rely on me to report to him what was going on that he heard what I heard on the radio. So I ran over to him and I told him that the Americans are going to be here in about 2 hours, and they're going to surround the camp. And he said, if that's the case, everyone go back to your bunkhouse. Why? He didn't want to be caught. So what did the Nazis do, these Yamach Shemamniks? They all ran away. And I think it was recorded that when the Americans actually took over the Mauthausen, and there's only a few Nazis that were left over there. All of them ran away. All of the important ones ran away. They all ran away. So listen to what happened now. That picture that she saw on the wall was the picture of the lady that saved them. The picture of the lady that saved them. And that lady saved five people. And now I was one of the five, this lady says. I was one of the five that she saved. And now look at the way HaShem did it, that I'm helping you with your five. The lady says, wait a second. I have to tell you now my side of the story. The mother says, I have to tell you now my side of the story. What happened? The mother said that about a day or two before she went to the doctor with her husband, and the doctor gave her the news that they were going to have 5 babies. Her mother came to her in a dream and said to her, "There's going to be 5 for 5, 5 for 5." She had no idea what it meant. She had no idea. But then when she came to the doctor, and the doctor told her Mazel Tov 5 times, then she understood what the mother said. She understood. But the mother told her, don't stop davening. You keep davening to the Rabbeinu Shalom. You're doing an amazing job. You keep davening, my dear daughter. You keep davening to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Don't stop davening. And we're learning over here. Don't give up on your tefillah. The lady was davening for 9 years. Could you imagine what that is? 9 straight consecutive years they're davening that they want to have children. And finally now they're going to have children. The mother tells her, don't stop davening. Don't stop davening. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has compassion on you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has compassion on the fact that the way that you were davening to him. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu had compassion. Don't stop davening. So here you see it. Look how HaKadosh Baruch Hu sets things up in the most amazing way. The most amazing, who could ever understand the ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Who could ever understand the ways of the Rabbeinu Shalom? Here there were 5 girls that were in Mauthausen. There was one lady that helped them. Now they're in Eretz Yisrael years later. This lady doesn't have any children. After 9 years, she has 5 children. This lady, one of them, hears about it, and she's the one that helps them with the 5. To pay back because that lady helped their 5. Amazing. So what do you see from this? You have to constantly daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to do our part. We have to put all our might. We have to put all of our koiches, all of our might into our tefillah. Vos yikamru rachamov yisbarach v'yaseh b'chazdai v'yoshienu b'karev l'man shemoi. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if we do that, He will have compassion for the sake of His own name, the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'zgam zeh b'chlal mashem mevoi b'makei machet shetrichem b'tfilah liyos koileya. What does that mean? Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Don't think chas v'shalom that your tefillas are for naught. That there's so many David there that are crying out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu but they're not heard. What does that mean? Why should we keep on davening? A person should say, why should I keep on? So a person will say, now, okay, Rabbi, you taught me this Torah now, and you're telling me on one hand that really, that the Yeshua that comes doesn't come because I daven. The Yeshua comes only because of the chesed of HaShem. So then why do I have to daven? If HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to have chesed, if HaShem is going to have chesed with us, so then why do I have to bother davening? Why should I bother davening? You hear what Rav Nosson is asking? In other words, I'm on him, Mamanusha. Here you're telling me that I should be marbe my tefillah. I should increase my tefillah. And never think that anything goes for naught. But if I see Yeshua, I should know it didn't come because of my tefillah. So then if that's the case, so then why should I daven? You see the question? So let me be soymech only on the chesed of Hashem. That's what it means. I'm turning to the right, but I'm not doing it the right way. The main point is that we have to always increase our tefillah. That the truth is, but we have to know that we're not worthy to actualize with our tefillah, but it's only with the chesed. But again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu only wants to see us try. That's all it is. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to see us that we rely on Him. And then when He does that, that's how we activate the chesed. We learned this before, this concept many times. There's something called the Isarusa de la Sata and the Isarusa de la Eila. What's that? If there's an awakening below, down here in this world, it causes an awakening up on high. So in other words, the fact that we turn on something down here with our tefillah, that we're relying on the Rabbeinu Shalom, because we're doing that, because we're relying on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so that causes that the Sarusa de Lasata, causes the Sarusa de Leila to turn on, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu then will help us out because we did something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu do His part. V'yamshich aleinu chazdai lemanoi v'yoisheinu meheira leman shemai, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will always save us, only for His own sake, for the sake that He wants to do chesed for us. We know the Gemara tells us, Oilam chesed yibana. HaKadosh Baruch Hu built the world for chesed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to always bestow us with chesed. That's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants. We have a couple more minutes. I just want to say one more thing. You know, when it came to Aharon HaKohen, and it came to the Chanukas HaMishkan, right? So Aharon HaKohen, and you know, we had all the Karbanis and the Nesiyim. So Aharon HaKohen felt a little slighted. He felt a little slighted that Shevet Levi didn't have the Karbanas like the other Shavatim had. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Aharon, don't worry, Aharon. Your lights are going to, when you light the menorah, that's going to be so important. So Aharon HaKohen said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, isn't it true that your light fills and surrounds all worlds? So if your light fills and surrounds all worlds, what are my little candles in the Mishkan going to do? So now we have a little mashal that there was a king. And the king had a good friend of his that was a villager. The king had a villager that was a good friend of his. And this villager was invited by the king to come to the palace. He was so happy, the villager was so happy to come to the palace with the king. He was so happy. He came to the village, he came to the palace. And the king said to him, oh, my friend, I'm so happy you came. He said, I want to come to see you in 30 days. I want to come to your house in 30 days and I want to have dinner with you. Is that okay? So the man, his friend said, of course it's okay. And he went out, he was so happy. And he was skipping and trotting all the way home. And he came to his little shack that he lived in. And he looked around and he said, you know, the king is going to come over here. I better clean the place up a little bit. So he started sweeping the floor. And then he saw that his bench wasn't so nice. So he went out and he chopped some wood and he made a new bench. And then he made sure his table, you know, the table wasn't so strong. So he reinsured the table. And he went, he got some chickens. And he started, you know, preparing to get some flour to make some bread. And he was working very, very hard. You know, he got some flowers for the front, you know, for the front of his house. And he painted the front door, everything. Okay. And it came the 30th day. And as it was getting darker, as the day was going down, the villager heard. He heard the beautiful band from the royal band that was coming down the road. And he saw the beautiful golden candelabras that they were carrying with the lights. It was magnificent. And the beautiful chariot that was drawn by 20 horses. And the villager saw this. And he got so scared. He said, he looked around his house. And he saw his little table and his chairs. And he saw the greatness of the king. How can I have the king in my house? So what happened, Chevra? The king came, the wagon stopped, and they knocked on the door and they said that the king is here. But he didn't answer the door. He sat behind the door, he didn't answer the door. And they knocked again, no answer. So then the king said, I'm going to knock on the door. And the king came and knocked on the door. And the king said, hi, it's the king. Are you there, my friend? The guy heard it. He heard it was the king. He cannot answer the king. He opens the door. And it was dark in there. He put out the candles. So the king said to my friend, don't you remember? I said, I'm coming in 30 days. Don't you remember? He says, oh boy, did I remember. You don't understand. When I came home, I worked on making a new bench. And I fixed the table. And I put flowers. And I got some chickens with eggs. And I went out and I got flour to make the bread and everything. And I did everything. Take a look. I prepared the chicken. Look, and I prepared everything. But when I saw your wagon, when I saw your chariot coming down the road, I got so embarrassed that you have so much, king. You have so much grandeur. And what do I have to offer? And the king said, that's the whole point. I always have the grandeur. I have all that greatness. I have all of that. I wanted to leave it outside. And I want to just spend time with you, the way you live. I want to be with you. I want to spend time with you. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Aaron HaKohen, it's true that my light fills all worlds and surrounds all worlds. It's true. But I want to illuminate the world from your candles. I want to use your candles to be the illumination. And that's why we see it so important. The parsha starts off with the oil. The parsha starts off with the menorah. Mixtures of. It has to be one piece. It has to be, it was an amazing, amazing thing, the menorah. And now the menorah always, we know that the Mishkan, all the time that we were in the Mishkan, we would build the Mishkan, we would take down the Mishkan. We would build the Mishkan, take down the Mishkan. What do we learn from that? We learned that the same way the Mishkan protected us while it was built, the Mishkan also protected us while we were going through the desert. While we were going through the desert that was filled with snakes, scorpions, and all the other the animals out there, and the cactuses and all of the stuff. But the Mishkan protected us. It protected us when it was built, and it protected us when it was taken down. So too the Mishkan is helping us today. And that's why we read the Parsha with the Mishkan, and that's why we say the Karbanis every day, and that's why we always talk about the menorah, and that's why we understand that the oil was so important. In the same way the oil has to be broken, and you have to smash the olives in order to get the oil out of them, so too is a Yid. A Yid sometimes has to be broken in order to make the Yid into the person that he has to be. And with that, we should all understand that it's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu does everything for our good, and we should never think that because we're davening, we're causing anything. Adarabah, because we're davening, we're causing HaKadosh Baruch Hu to want to help us. And that's how we get help. Does anyone have any questions? Anyone want to add anything or disagree with anything that we said here?
No.
Okay, very good. Very good. So I want to wish everyone a wonderful Shabbos. Emet HaShem, everyone should have a wonderful Shabbos. And Emet HaShem will be back here next week. Emet HaShem, same station and same time. Okay?
That's good.